The morning after felt cruel. Jungkook woke up with a pounding head, but the ache in his chest was worse than the alcohol burn. He had replayed last night over and over, Taehyung's hand on his jaw, the way their lips almost touched, the way he had pulled away. He wanted to believe it was the right choice, that nothing good could come from blurring the lines of a contract. But every time he closed his eyes, he could still feel the ghost of Taehyung's touch. In the kitchen, Taehyung was already awake, perfectly put together as if last night hadn't happened. His hair neat, shirt crisp, coffee steaming in his hand. "Sleep well?" Taehyung asked, voice calm. "Too calm." Jungkook clenched his jaw. "Don't act like nothing happened." Taehyung's gaze flickered briefly, then returned to its practiced indifference. Nothing did happen. The dismissal hit Jungkook harder than expected. His chest tightened, heat rushing to his face. "You almost kissed me." Taehyung finally set his cup down, eyes locking with Jungkook's. They weren't cold. No, worse, they burned with restrained intensity. "You think you're the only one affected?" The words landed like a spark on dry wood. Jungkook felt his breath hitch. "Then why act like it means nothing to you?" he whispered, almost accusing. Taehyung's lips curved into a bitter smile. "Because it's safer if it means nothing." The storm broke then. Jungkook slammed his glass down on the counter, his control cracking. "Why do you keep doing this? You push me away, then you pull me back in like I'm some toy to play with. I can't." His voice cracked, frustration spilling into vulnerability. "I can't keep up with you, Taehyung." For the first time, Taehyung's composure truly faltered. His hand clenched at his side, his eyes darting away as if hiding something deeper. "You think this is easy for me?" Taehyung's voice rose, sharp but raw. "Do you think I wanted this marriage? To bind myself to someone who looks at me like I'm a stranger one second and an enemy the next?" Jungkook flinched, but he forced himself to meet his gaze. "Then why defend me? Why almost kiss me?" The silence that followed was unbearable. Taehyung finally exhaled, long and heavy, as if surrendering a piece of himself. "Because I don't know how not to want you." The confession hung between them, fragile and dangerous. Jungkook's pulse thundered in his ears. Every instinct screamed to close the distance, to let himself fall, but fear routed him in place. Neither of them moved. The storm swirled inside them both, but the lightning had yet to strike. For now, the air between them hadn't settled since Taehyung's confession. "Because I don't know how not to want you." Jungkook replayed it 1,000 times in his mind, each word unraveling the fragile walls he had built. He told himself to ignore it, to bury it deep, but every stolen glance, every brush of Taehyung's hand against his, made it impossible. That evening, the storm finally broke. They had been forced to attend a dinner with one of Taehyung's business associates. Jungkook, dressed sharply but silent, felt like a prop at the table, his only purpose to smile politely while Taehyung played the perfect husband. But when the associate made a joke at Jungkook's expense, laughing at his lack of business knowledge, Taehyung's hand tightened around Jungkook's thigh under the table, protective, firm. "Watch your mouth," Taehyung said coldly, his voice carrying enough weight to silence the entire table. Jungkook's heart stuttered. The car ride home was silent, tension hanging thick. Jungkook finally snapped. "Why do you keep doing that?" Taehyung glanced at him. "Doing what? Defending me? Acting like you care in front of everyone, only to come home and pretend like it doesn't mean anything." Jungkook's voice cracked, eyes flashing with frustration. Do you even know what you want from me? The car pulled into the driveway. Taehyung killed the engine, but neither moved. The air was suffocating, electric. I want you to stop doubting what's right in front of you, Taehyung said finally, his voice low but steady. Jungkook's chest heaved. And what is that, huh? A marriage built on lies? Or this game you keep playing with me? Taehyung's restraint shattered. He reached across the seat, grabbing Jungkook's wrist, pulling him close until their faces were inches apart. His voice dropped, raw, unguarded. This has never been a game to me. Jungkook's breath hitched, anger and longing crashing together. Then prove it. The challenge hung in the air like a lit match. And for the first time, Taehyung didn't hold back. He crashed his lips against Jungkook's, fierce, desperate, as if claiming what he had denied himself for too long. Jungkook gasped against his mouth, hands pushing against Taehyung's chest, but not to escape. No, it was the opposite. He pulled him closer, fists curling into his shirt, surrendering to the fire. It wasn't gentle. It was messy, frantic, years of restraint snapping all at once. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jungkook's eyes were wide, glassy, torn between fear and need. This changes everything, he whispered. Taehyung's hand cupped his face, thumb brushing his cheekbone with surprising tenderness. Good. Let it. Lingered long after it ended. Jungkook could still taste him, still feel the heat of Taehyung's lips pressed against his own. His body trembled with the memory, but his mind screamed in protest. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't part of the contract. The morning sun poured into the penthouse like nothing had changed, but everything had. Jungkook avoided Taehyung at breakfast, sipping his coffee in silence, pretending to scroll through his phone. His lips were still raw, tender from the night before. Every time his gaze flickered to Taehyung, he felt the same burn all over again. Taehyung, however, was infuriatingly calm. He read the newspaper, sipped his black coffee. Jungkook, breathless in the car, had been as casual as shaking hands. Finally, Jungkook snapped. Are you seriously going to sit there and act like last night didn't happen? Taehyung lowered the paper slowly, his eyes locking with Jungkook's. I'm not the one running away from it. Jungkook's pulse spiked. I'm not running. Yes, you're. Taehyung leaned forward, elbows resting on the table, his voice smooth but sharp. You're terrified. Not of me, but of yourself. Because deep down, you wanted it as much as I did. Jungkook's throat went dry. His first instinct was to deny it, to protect himself, but his silence betrayed him. The next days turned into a dangerous dance. Every touch felt charged. A brush of hands passing the salt, Taehyung adjusting Jungkook's tie before a meeting, their shoulders brushing in the hallway. Each small contact sent shivers down Jungkook's spine, unraveling him thread by thread. But with the pull came the push. Jungkook snapped at Taehyung for leaving clothes draped across the sofa. Taehyung retorted sharply when Jungkook forgot to answer a business-related call. Their arguments flared hotter now, but underneath the fire was an undeniable current pulling them closer. One night, Jungkook stood by the window, staring out at the city lights, trying to catch his breath. His chest was heavy with emotions he didn't want to name. He heard footsteps behind him, slow, deliberate. Why do you keep fighting me? Taehyung's voice was low, almost pained. Jungkook's hands curled into fists at his sides. Because if I don't, I'll fall. And if I fall, I'll lose myself in you. Taehyung's breath caught. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, softer than Jungkook had ever heard him, "Then let yourself fall." Jungkook turned, eyes wide, chest heaving. He wanted to scream, to push Taehyung away, but all he could do was stand there, trembling, as Taehyung's gaze held him captive. The storm inside him had never been louder. The air between them had grown unbearable. Every word, every glance, every silence, it all carried the weight of that kiss and the promises unspoken beneath it. Jungkook tried to convince himself he was fine, that he could keep pretending, but his body betrayed him every time Taehyung entered the room. His chest tightened, his pulse quickened. It was like being trapped in a cage where Taehyung held the only key. That evening, the tension snapped. It started with something small, Jungkook forgetting an appointment Taehyung had set for him. "You don't take this seriously," Taehyung said sharply, tossing his jacket onto the sofa. Jungkook whirled around, eyes blazing. "Because it isn't my life, it's yours. I'm just here as your contract spouse." Nothing more. The words cut deeper than he meant them to. Taehyung's jaw clenched, his eyes darkening. "Is that really what you believe? That you're nothing more than a role to me?" Jungkook swallowed hard, but pride pushed the words out. "What else could I be?" In two strides, Taehyung closed the distance, his hand catching Jungkook's wrist. His voice was low, dangerous, trembling with something raw. "You think I kiss people I don't care about?" Jungkook's breath caught. His wrist burned where Taehyung held it, firm but not cruel. "You confuse me," Jungkook admitted, voice breaking. "One moment you're cold, the next you're." He stopped, chest heaving, eyes glistening. "And I don't know which version of you is real." Taehyung's expression softened, just slightly. His grip loosened, sliding down to Jungkook's hand. "They're both real. Because I'm terrified too." The honesty in his tone struck Jungkook harder than any argument could. His walls, so carefully built, cracked open. "Then why?" Jungkook's voice faltered, barely above a whisper. Taehyung's thumb brushed across his knuckles, his gaze steady. "Because no one has ever made me feel the way you do." The fire between them roared back to life. Jungkook's heart pounded, fear and longing clashing violently. He should step back, should stop this before it consumed him completely, but when Taehyung leaned in, slow and deliberate, he didn't move. Their lips met again, softer this time, but no less intense. A kiss laced with fear, with hunger, with all the words they couldn't yet say. Jungkook clung to Taehyung's shirt, trembling, torn between surrender and escape. But when Taehyung's hand cradled his face with unexpected tenderness, Jungkook's resistance melted away. For the first time, he let himself fall.